Hey everyone, and welcome back to the FishMarketAcademy, where we teach you how to fish for gains. So in the previous video, we went through how to bridge to the Oasis network, and in this video, we're just going to go through a bit of what the Oasis ecosystem is like. And if you found this video useful, do remember to like and subscribe, and let's get started. So the Oasis network's tagline is a new era for blockchain. So let's explore why. As usual, nothing I say is financial advice. So what is Oasis? Oasis is a layer 1 proof-of-stake blockchain that is meant to be privacy-focused and versatile. So Oasis has two main components in their network, the consensus layer and then the ParaTime layer. Whereas most other L1 networks, they basically just have one main layer where they do all of their computation and consensus. So by doing it this way, it makes the Oasis network more efficient than sharding and having parachains, while still maintaining the same level of security. So to elaborate a little bit further, the consensus layer is basically the scalable, high throughput and secure layer run by the decentralized nodes. And for the execution layer, paratimes work as operating systems that provide functionality for multiple programs to run simultaneously. So what that means is that these two layers together can process multiple transactions simultaneously, and that the complex workloads processed on one paratime will not slow down a simpler transactions on another. So sometimes during an NFT minting event, the whole network can get congested, and with Oasis' method of separating them, well, while a particular NFT is minting, it doesn't mean that the entire network becomes unusable and you cannot do any type of swap or sending. You should still be able to do it if Oasis paratimes work as intended. Oasis has built-in privacy features designed to support confidential smart contracts. Imagine Railgun, which is the privacy protocol in Ethereum, being built right into Ethereum. Oasis kind of has that right off the bat. The privacy technology that Oasis uses is called Secure Enclave, and it's something that Secret Network uses as well as even Apple uses for their devices. Oasis is also the first data tokenization network. I'll elaborate on this in a little bit, but this basically unlocks game-changing use cases and an entirely new ecosystem of apps and projects into the network. And of course, they have low gas fees, which are 99% cheaper than Ethereum to build dApps economically and affordably. In terms of speed, they claim to be able to do up to 1000 TPS with about 6 seconds block time and instant finality, which is pretty okay. And it's easy to develop thanks to its backwards compatible smart contracts with EVM as well as the Rust-based paratimes. So back to the privacy feature, Oasis uses the Trusted Execution Environment (TEE) that acts as a secure enclave for smart contract execution. So this makes it such that the whole transaction and smart contract is confidential. This data is decrypted, processed by a smart contract, and then encrypted before it's sent out again, ensuring private user data remains confidential and it cannot be viewed by the node operator or even the smart contract developer. The second cool thing about Oasis is that they have inbuilt tokenized data. So that allows users and developers to log and enforce how data is being used with high integrity. So you know that your data is not going to be sold without your knowledge, basically. And data providers, including potentially users, data brokerages, or even protocols, they could actually earn rewards by using this tokenized data that they can provide and stick their data with certain apps, and then the apps would pay them while maintaining complete control over how their private information is consumed by the services that they use. Some projects have already started building applications using data tokenization on Oasis, including Binance, Chainlink, BMW Group, Balancer, and more. So this is how the data tokenization works. The data provider would stake the data in the Oasis network, and then the data consumer would pay and receive the results of the data, and basically he pays by sending the payment into the Oasis network, and that's then given as reward to the data provider. So examples of data could be like what's your average volume per transaction. These are pretty useful, and what's like your ability to ensure that you pay your loans on time on lending platforms, how much of a healthy balance you always have, whether you got liquidated before. So all of these are going to be useful data. In the future, potentially this kind of data could be used by protocols to give preferential treatment to customers that have better credit scoring due to their data that they have shown, as an example. So these are just hypothetical scenarios, but it could become a reality. Right now, there's also an incentive program of 160 million in the Oasis Development Fund that was raised and backed by Dragonfly Capital Partners, Jump Capital, which for your information also helped to back Terra, as well as some others in November 2021. Recently, just a few days ago, Binance Labs also funded them up to a total of $200 million to support the projects building on Oasis network. So it's only a matter of time before there is going to be a money market in the Oasis network. And if you subscribe to Taiki's money market theory, eventually there'll be a rotation towards Rose, and you might want to start taking a look at this ecosystem and the Rose token itself. So what is Emerald ParaTime? So what is Emerald ParaTime? Emerald ParaTime is basically the Oasis EVM, which we are all familiar with, and it basically provides the smart contracts with full EVM compatibility so that you can use Oasis network as if you're using Ethereum network without paying for the high gas fees. And of course, it uses ROSE as the native token for the gas fee. So what are the key features of the Emerald ParaTime? Well, apart from full EVM compatibility, which means that it's easy integration with EVM-based dApps such as DeFi dApps, NFTs, and GameFi, and you don't have to recode anything, you can just port it over. It's also very scalable, and it can do a lot more transactions compared to Ethereum, as well as lower cost. So the main AMM DEX in Emerald is YuzuSwap, which is the first AMM DEX or the more official one, and it allows you to do trading as well as liquidity mining, and there's also even trade mining. So what trade mining means is that you basically make trades and then you receive rebates in the form of Yuzu tokens. So what makes YuzuSwap unique compared to the other AMM DEXs out there? Well, firstly, there was no pre-mine, it's all fair launch, and what's interesting is that the amount of tokens mined in each block will halve every year. Additionally, they also have this Trade Once, Mine Forever trade mining program, where basically you trade in an incentivized trading pair and they will get a balance in TPST, which is similar to liquidity provider token, but it's for trading provider token, and that is evidence of you trading, and you'll be able to receive a trade mining token in each block according to your share of the TPST. They also have a pretty healthy buyback mechanism, where of the 0.3% transaction fee, 80% of that will go into buying back the Yuzu token. So if there's a lot of trading activities, then there'll be a lot of buying pressure on the Yuzu token price. The other 20% of the transaction fees will go to the DAO vault. And last but not least, YuzuSwap can integrate into any projects in Oasis and has a lot of possibilities depending on how they want to develop it. One example is that promising projects on Oasis could apply for IDO/IFO on the YuzuSwap, which should drive a lot of transaction value to the Yuzu token as well. Here are the available farms on YuzuSwap. If you are seeing this video in a later time, the prices might be different already and the APR might be different as well. So if you are wondering how to bridge, we have a previous video that we just did about bridging. So let's go to the next dApp on the Emerald network, which is DuneSwap. And DuneSwap is basically the second AMM DEX on the Oasis Emerald network. Here are some of the farms and the APR, and currently the Dune Rose APR is giving about 1,550%, which is pretty decent. And I think the price of Dune is a bit more stable right now. It's around $7 to $12 depending on when you watch this video so far. But of course this is very speculative and the price can change the next day. So let's take a look at the tokenomics. So core contributors, which I assume is going to be the development team, is about 20%, and that's kind of okay. 20% is usually the upper limit of what I want to see in a team. Backers is 23%, so I believe this is like the private rounds and the seed rounds. This is a little bit high, so that's something to take note of. Staking rewards is about 23.5%, this is pretty okay. And strategic partners and reserve is at 5%, that's okay. And then community and ecosystem at 18.5% is pretty okay as well. And then foundation endowment is at 10%. This one is a little bit tricky in the sense that sometimes you might want to look at core contributors and foundation endowment as just one part. So depending on how you look at it, it seems like the team does hold quite a bit of tokens in a way. So the current circulating supply of ROSE is about 3.5 billion with a total supply of 10 billion. So there's still about 66% more to go. So in terms of the emission and inflation schedule, it's a 10-year token circulating schedule, and I wouldn't be too worried about the inflation because it's 10 years, but I would probably want to pay attention to some of these spikes over here. You see there are two main spikes, so I'll go and get the date, and it's probably something that you want to take note of if you're holding ROSE, and you might want to consider being careful around these dates. But currently the staking APR is about 20% APR, so probably there's a way to work backwards and project how long the emission will finish for staking at a 20% APR rate based on existing circulating supply and giving some assumptions on how many people are staking. So in conclusion, Oasis Network is a pretty promising project with three key features: privacy, scalability, as well as versatility. And it is similar to Ethereum and Polkadot with built-in privacy features that could unlock new use cases for DeFi apps as well as tokenized data. What's also interesting is that Oasis is built on the Cosmos SDK, so in the future, it could potentially integrate with the IBC and be part of the Cosmos network if they choose to go down that path. Oasis also emphasizes a lot on confidentiality as well as responsible data economy, and therefore the future of this network does seem pretty promising, and it's definitely a project that is worth keeping an eye on. Furthermore, in terms of team, the team is made up of top talents from around the world with backgrounds from Apple, Google, etc., and they are all committed to growing and expanding the network. But ultimately, at the end of the day, please do your own research and invest with caution. So if you found this video useful, do remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys again soon. Bye!
Baby fish do 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 do, baby fish do 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 do, baby fish do 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 do.